Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green 19 podcast. I'm Dominique Yates. I'm joined by Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein. Round one of the NFL draft is in the books here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. What a day.
Huh.
It was pretty remarkable to see it. Like, I had no idea what it was going to look like. You know, we were trying to prepare for it, but to see the crowd, to see the atmosphere, the energy, it really was honestly electric. So it was fun. Ryan, what was it like for you?
You know what's funny is, and you know this, Dominic, for the longest time, everyone I knew around here would ask me, hey, you excited for the draft to come here? And my answer would always be the same, no. Because here's why. First of all, I root for me. I root for my comfort and convenience. And this was going to be the opposite of comfortable or convenient. But as we got closer, I couldn't help but get excited for this event. I've been watching the draft since I was a kid. Always, always very highly into the event. For it to be here did feel special. Then the questions became, okay, how is this city of 107,000 people going to pull this off? There was a projected, 125,000 people tonight? And
They actually said
205.
205.
205.
I don't believe it.
I don't
believe it's 205, but that's what
It was a
the NFL
lot.
put
I mean,
out.
that 205 sounds like more than maybe, but there was a lot.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if in Spoon, you've been everywhere in the NFL too. There's not a better place in the league that handles game day traffic than Green Bay. I mean, it's second to none. It's incredible. It's like clockwork how they get people in and out, cars in and out of here. It was not game day today. This was. I got caught in the swabbing on around 1:30 today, and I was trying to get to the gym, and it was just impossible. I mean, I felt like I was trapped in a box. The crowd, the parking spread out in such a way that I've never seen anywhere close on game day. This was not the same. I don't know what you thought, but they handled it really, really well. So my just first impression is that, one, this was really cool.
Yeah,
It was really cool for this to be here. And it was a smashing success. I mean, the city really handled this crush so much better than I would have ever anticipated.
I know it. Spoon, what was it like for you out here?
I wasn't outside. I didn't experience any of it. I watched it on TV, because I'm inside working. So
Yeah.
I really have no idea what it was like other than to watch it. It looked like a lot of people. It looked like they were having a lot of fun. So, that was my experience of it.
Yeah, we'll take you out there tomorrow. You can go walking around
yeah.
with the rain, right? We can, that's the perfect time to go out there.
But here's the thing, though. We got to the stadium, about 4:15? We all carpooled together because parking passes are at a premium.
Yeah. How's my driving?
I was in the back seat, so I tried not to pay attention. But it was really no different by that time to game day. We took the same route that I take from my house to game day. A lot of people came hours and hours earlier, and it was bad around 1:30. I mean, it was chaotic and hectic. But by the time we got here, it was, like I said, I root for my comfort and convenience. It was comfortable and convenient.
Yeah, it was. I can talk all day about just this day in itself, and it is pretty cool. I don't even know how many months I've been here now. I don't know. I think it's like 6, 7 or something like that.
Yeah, welcome to your first draft.
I know it. It was cool to kind of be out there and to witness it and take it all in. And the energy, like I said, it was just crazy. And I think it's perfect that we can segue into why it also got really loud. When, in terms of the history already, bringing this to Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Packers decided to add to that history for the first time in 23 years, drafting a wide receiver.
With 23.
It's 23 years? What did I say, 22 years?
With 23.
Oh, yeah,
First
with
time in 23 years, and they used 23 pick to get it. Some symmetry there.
Yes, and they went down to the Deep South, and they found a speedy wide receiver, Matthew Golden. I've been able to watch him not only in college football, talk to him this week. Just impressed with how he carries himself. He's kind of seems like a true pro, and I think that's part of what happens with a lot of these college kids, not only with the NIL and portal world today, but playing in the SEC, just like a higher level of football. So he seems pretty much poised and ready for this moment. Obviously, we'll see what happens when he gets on the field. But just for you, Spoon, just what were your thoughts on them going with the wide receiver and Matthew Golden, and just thoughts on just how it kind of came about?
I didn't expect him to be there when they picked, so I didn't really consider him. I mean, I really liked him the first time I watched him on tape. And I watched a lot of them because I was really intrigued by him. Because every time I watched it, I kept looking for. No, it was a lot of highlight tape, but I kept looking for drops and bad hands, or and he does have really good hands, really reliable. He's a hand catcher. He doesn't catch anything in his body. I think that I am willing to bet that was high on the list of their desires with the wide receiver. Now, as he fell, I'm sure they were probably prepared for him to be gone. And when he got there, I know Gutekunst said that they had offers to move back. But the fact that it was Golden and they really liked him, they just decided to stick with him. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about him. There's some things that still have yet to be decided. He's only 5'11". I don't know how a 5'11" guy can play outside, really, but he can. Jaden Reed played outside some. They can do that. They can find ways to use him. He ran this incredible 4.29 at the combine, and watching his tape, you don't see that. You don't see like Christian Watson is a 4.3 guy, and you see it right away. I mean, you see it as soon as the ball's in his hands, how he can run away from people. Golden probably ran that 4.29 because he was a track guy at some point. That's not to say he's not fast. He's really quick off the line of scrimmage. I just didn't see him explode away from anybody. So I don't know if he's going to be that type of guy, but I think he's going to be able to get open, in man coverage.
Yeah. Just what were your thoughts on just the day with picking Matthew Golden, Ryan?
Brian Gutekunst said that Matthew Golden was basically just above the Mendoza line for height and what they were looking for, which I think we know. They're looking for a perimeter receiver. Jaden Reed's the slot. I mean, he's going to be the slot. So they need someone who is going to line up outside. And I asked Brian Gutekunst, what is that Mendoza line? He's like, 5'11". he's at it. Yeah. That is the line. So he meets that criteria in their eyes. But the thing that Brian Gutekunst added was that there's been guys who have played. Steve Smith was a smaller receiver. There's been guys that have played on the perimeter that have been smaller than 5'11", and the thing that they have in common, Brian Gutekunst said, is that they have special traits. And 4.29 is a special trait. Now, as far as not seeing that on film, when you've got a guy who runs 4.29, it's very natural to brand them as a home run hitter. That's what Christian Watson is. Christian Watson makes huge plays when he's healthy. He stretches the field. We've never seen in 3 seasons Christian Watson be a guy that can make plays at all levels. He's never been a guy that the intermediate route tree's really been there consistently. He's a home run hitter. That's not – who knows how Matthew Golden's going to transition to the NFL. That's not what tonight is about. We have no idea. We're not going to know for some time. But the book on Matthew Golden is that he is an all-levels receiver. I found it very interesting tonight that he mentioned – he made it very clear. He really emphasized that his knowledge of the game is such that he can tempo his routes. He doesn't run full speed all the time. He knows when to get in and out of his breaks. He's been able to polish that ability against SEC corners after transferring first 2 years of his college career to Houston, played at Texas last year. He approaches his position that way, so while he has the ability to take the top off, he also has shown, and Brian Gutekunst mentioned that, at Texas, he showed an ability to run an expanded route tree, which is what you need in a number one receiver. And for all of Christian Watson's greatness and potential, he's never shown that consistently. That could be the difference. I don't think, though, that you can separate the fact that when they're not going to have Christian Watson do much of anything until November at the earliest. It's
Maybe late October.
yeah. It's going to be mid-season. And when Christian Watson wasn't on the field last season, the big play element in their passing game went with him.
It disappeared.
It wasn't there. I asked Brian Gutekunst tonight, did you feel like you needed to add significantly to this receiver room? And he said no. But let's be real. How could you not? He had to have seen this offense sputter down the stretch last season. He has to know Christian Watson's not going to be there until mid-season. You have to help your quarterback. The NFC wildcard game in Philadelphia, a big reason they lost that game, a big reason they were not a Super Bowl threat, was because they didn't have receivers that could consistently get open. That's what Matthew Golden is expected to do. So from a need standpoint, the last thing I'll say, when you look at how the board fell, surely, as Spoon said, they didn't expect Matthew Golden to be there at 23. There was still, and this is a very deep defensive line pass rush draft. That's absolutely a huge. I think it's even bigger than the receiver. I think it's the biggest need that they had going into this draft was pass rush. But in the depth of this draft and how the board fell, there's plenty of opportunity to do that Friday. I think that the board seems thinner at receiver, so they get the receiver in the first round. You would expect Friday would be the second and third round be about adding to that pass rush.
That's true. That stood out to me. It's like the guys you knew that were going to be drafted early, the Mason Grahams of the world, the Abdul Carters, like you knew they were going to be gone. But as far as like a Donovan Ezraku, and like there's still some options there day two that the Packers could look at and beyond. I guess as a follow-up or kind of as a segue, Spoon, is there any positions or guys that you're more focused on heading into day two for the Packers?
Just to add on about Golden, I think there is one concern with him. Besides being 5'11", he's, 191 pounds, I think. Reed is built like that. I mean, I would say they're pretty comparable. And maybe Golden's a little taller. But Reed kind of wore out last year, towards the end of the year. And you worry, especially these guys playing in the cold, bigger receivers are better in this kind of climate. And so that's something they're going to have to watch. Now, maybe because they got two of them, they can, not overuse them, but they use Reed a lot. And I sort of thought his, he just kind of wore down at the end. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. That's why they've always drafted big receivers here in Green Bay. It's because when the weather turns bad, you want a guy who's, insulated and able to muscle with people because the game slows down a little bit. So that's probably the only, the major risk factor with taking a guy who's 5'11".
I think that wouldn't you think, and what you said I completely agree with, but Brian Gutekunst, it sure seemed like, especially when you watched this offense, this passing game last season, I think he had to know they needed some speed in this offense, especially at receiver. I mean, they really needed to infuse this passing game with more speed, with or without Christian Watson. I mean, you can't just have one speedy guy. You got to add speed there, right? So that's what this pick struck me as kind of let's add speed to the skill position here for this offense for your quarterback. But yeah, I same with running backs, right? You want big running backs in Green Bay because ball carriers in general, they take a lot of hits. It's cold, and that can be tough.
Yeah, I think speed is a factor. I think he really wanted someone who was a reliable catcher. After watching all those drops last year, I think he was not going to take anybody who had a drop problem. And he's the opposite. Golden has really, really good hands, or at least he's shown it in college. And then, the speed, where the speed works in is they have nobody who can win man-to-man coverage. Their guys are all kind of zone type of players. And I think he can probably, with his get off at the line of scrimmage, can do some damage as a man receiver.
I asked Brian Gutekunst late in his availability after the first round because I was curious okay, you've got your quarterback in place, and everything emanates around that, right? So when you're evaluating a receiver, any receiver, how much are you evaluating that receiver, and how much are you evaluating how that receiver fits with your quarterback? And in that question, the answer to that question, he perked my ears when he said he doesn't drop passes. He just flat out said that. Yeah. There's no question his hands were important, especially with this group.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you watch Texas, whether it was Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers, they always looked for him. A lot of people brought up that with that 4th and 13 in the college football playoff with Arizona State. Like, that was who Ewers went to. There in the back of the end zone. He was right there waiting for him. And, again, that was the type of the guy that they relied on him. But one thing that stands out to me with Golden is his confidence. He's very confident. What did he say? I'm a dog. I can do this. What his comments about telling Jordan Love, like, I am a reliable target for you. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he just kind of goes through not only the rookie mini camps, the OTAs, and training camp, just to see, how will he kind of boost the guys around him in that receiver room? Will there be some added spark, a little bit of juice there? So I'm just really curious how he would fit into that wide receiver room that it
Yeah,
currently
there might
stands.
be a little resentment in there, from Wicks and Dobbs. I mean, we already know Dobbs walked out on him because he was upset about not getting the ball. I think another thing about, you talked about that, I watched that play several times in the championship game.
Yeah, the playoff, yeah.
Ewers can't put the ball down the field like Jordan Love can.
Right.
How many catches did you see with with him where he's like falling down or
Underthrown.
coming back or having to go way up for it or reaching behind him? It'll be real interesting to see if that changes his game playing with Jordan Love, who can unload it, I mean, still needs some work going deep, but he can put it on a dime when he has to. So that'll be interesting to see how that works for his Golden's game.
Yeah.
As far as demeanor goes, and this is only the first impression tonight. We know very little right now. Okay, I'm not going to make any grand sweeping assumptions, but for first impressions go, he sure had the demeanor you expect from a number one. I mean, just the way he milked the moment, he worked the crowd. He takes his time getting from the rush center to the podium. He's walking, he's slapping fives. He gets out there, gets the traditional ceremonial hug from Roger Goodell, gets that number one jersey. The first thing that he does when he gets out there, he works the crowd immediately. I mean, he's pumping his left arm in the air immediately, and then he gets the jersey, he waves it, and then what does he do? He doesn't leave the stage. He stays on the stage. He leads. Now he's going to learn the "Go Pack Go" chant. He's going to learn that it's not Green Bay, Green Bay. But
Yeah.
he leads the crowd in a chant. He talks to the crowd. All from a demeanor standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
That's what a number one receiver typically looks like. It's also fitting that what he had that black and gold suit, right?
He did.
He had the gold chain. And, of course, his last name's Golden, which is very fitting for a green and gold team. But that G, right, for a team that wears the G on their helmets, it all kind of came together.
It did. And, I mean, as far as that, just that confidence in his demeanor, that was impressive. I remember that after the Combine when we talked to him throughout that week in Indianapolis. And I'm just like, this guy, like I said, he just has that pro feeling to him, and he's very confident. And then talked to him, I don't know what day it was, Wednesday, when they had the Special Olympics event and some of the prospects were there. And he just been very consistent, and he spoke highly of Green Bay then when he was on the top 30 visits. And he always liked what was here, and he spoke even highly of Jaden Reed and just the offense. And he said he's coming in and he wants to be a part of it. So as we start to wrap this up, for both of you guys, and Spoon, you can start it, Ryan, you can close it. What are you looking for heading into day two?
I would assume, either the second round pick's either going to be a corner or a defensive lineman, I would guess. They can still get some decent defensive linemen as the draft goes on. There's still some dudes in the third round they could get. I wonder, though, when he's going to try to get more picks, if he's going to do that. You know, he had the chance and he passed it up. You know, does he do it in the second round and move back to the third and try to get some extra thirds? I don't know. But I would guess that it'll be a corner or a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean, you already know where I stand with that.
Yeah.
I think pass rush, interior or edge, both. You know, you got to hammer the defensive line heavily in this draft. So I'll leave you with just one lasting thought on tonight, because this is a unique draft. I mean, once you're on the clock, like Brian Gutekunst says, you're just trying to make your football team better. But as an overall 30,000-foot view, this is unique. And it's kind of a crossroads between the business side, the entertainment side, and the football competitive side of the sport. You know, professional sports in general have both of those pillars. And from that standpoint, I don't think that the crossroads could have intersected any more seamlessly than they did tonight. Just consider that everyone around here, including Brian Gutekunst, including Mark Murphy, who announced the pick, and before he said, Matthew Golden said it for first time in 23 years. Everyone around here knows the history, knows that the drought has been a very long time. As soon as Brian Gutekunst sent in the pick, even he in the draft room was thinking, well, this is significant because it's the Green Bay draft. Every fan out there wanted to hear one name. They wanted to see a receiver. They wanted to see the drought end. For it to be here, that the drought finally ends, for it to be a very significant need, a speed element, not just receiver, but a speed element to this offense that has needed, down the stretch last year, more speed. I just don't think that you could have possibly drawn up a better first night from the business side, the entertainment side. Hey, this is historic. This is first time in 23 years here in your own Lot 1 parking lot, to making your football team better.
Yeah, I gotta, you say, tip the cap to Green Bay. You say definitely flexed its muscles on this day one of the NFL draft. So we get ready for day two, and hopefully the rain holds off. That's the only thing I'm looking for. You talk about positions and all that. I'm just looking for the weather to be somewhat better on this Friday, and we'll see what happens on day two and see what's to come with the Packers and see who is going to be added to the roster heading into next season. But we thank you all for checking out the Green 19 podcast. For Tom Silverstein, Ryan Wood, I'm Dominique Yates.